transmission begins 2:41 Galactic Standard Time. Vessel Sleepless Astronaut. Altitude low orbital, drift above the upper atmosphere of Venus. Cabin pressure steady. Heart rate calm. If you can hear this signal wherever you are resting, take a slow breath with me. In and out. Let the air fill your chest like a tide returning to shore, then fall away, light as dust. The ship hums quietly, a long, slow exhale that matches your own. I've always thought that the engine's rhythm feels alive, as if the vessel itself remembers how to breathe. In moments like this, surrounded by night and cloud, the boundary between machine and mind begins to blur. Everything breathes together, the stars, the hum, even the silence. Outside the viewport, there is a thin glow. It begins as a dull amber, then deepens, softens, ripples. The first hint of Venus appears like dawn behind frosted glass. A storm of light, golden and slow. The pod drifts weightlessly. I float with it, anchored only by the soft belt that crosses my chest. The mattress below me gives like the surface of calm water, responsive, forgiving. I loosen my fingers, unclench my jaw, and let the body find its own orbit. You may do the same. Feel the shoulders ease downward, the neck lengthen, the breath uncoil. There's no need to hold anything. Out here, gravity is a suggestion, nothing more. The lights in the cabin dim automatically. Only the instrument panel remains, its blue digits pulsing faintly like the heartbeat of a sleeping animal. I press the record button and speak softly into the console microphone, the way one might whisper into the ear of a friend who is almost asleep. Log entry, I say, for those who drift. Static folds over my voice, thin and gentle. It's comforting, that veil of sound. I imagine it traveling across an endless distance, through dust, magnetic fields, forgotten satellites, until it finds you. Perhaps it reaches a small room on Earth. Perhaps someone half awake catches only the shape of it, a voice among stars. Breathe again. In, the hum rises. Out, the body sinks. I look to the right of the cabin, where the curved glass runs from floor to ceiling. Through it, the planet swells, a pale sphere veiled in moving gold. The sunlight from the far side scatters through the clouds, bending into 1,000 shades of honey and white. They swirl in endless motion, painting the sky like liquid fire, yet everything feels slow, tender, safe. Venus has no seasons, no pause between tempests. Her winds never sleep. And yet, from here, she looks utterly still, a lantern suspended in the dark. I find comfort in that illusion. Stillness inside motion, peace inside noise. The hum deepens, the air system releases a sigh. I take a slow note in the log. 02:45, atmosphere calm, turbulence low, golden reflection, visible. As I write, the pen glides a little slower than usual, as though the ink itself is reluctant to disturb the quiet. The paper smells faintly of iron, and ozone. I press the edge to keep it from drifting, then let my hand rest. My pulse steadies, almost in sync with the gyroscopes turning beneath the floor. Sometimes when the static grows faint, I can hear the smallest sounds, the subtle creak of the hull adjusting to temperature, or the whisper of my own heartbeat in the headset. Out here, even silence has layers. Maybe that's what keeps me recording, the hope that within those layers, someone might still be listening. I take another breath, slower this time. My body responds like a tide pulling away from shore, weightless, quiet, entirely unhurried. If you're listening, follow the rhythm. In. Let your chest rise with the ship's hum. Out. Let your thoughts drift, light as dust falling through sunlight. There is no schedule here, no destination, only the turning of the planet below and the gentle orbit that keeps us both in motion. Tonight, the coordinates lead toward the day side, toward the endless banks of sulfuric clouds that scatter light like gold dust. I will not descend, only watch, only describe. That's all my duty requires. Observation, notation, rest. The logbook drifts open beside me, its corners curling in the artificial breeze. The handwriting from earlier entries has begun to fade. Pressure ink doesn't last long in low humidity. I trace the old lines with my thumb, remembering the worlds already past. Mercury's silver scars, the pale glint of Europa's ice, the hush of Neptune's wind. Each world has its own kind of silence. Venus's silence, I suspect, will sound like rain. 2:47, approaching light layer. Visibility, moderate. The glow outside deepens. Through the haze, faint streaks slide across the window, streams of liquid refracting sunlight. I know it isn't rain, not the way we think of it. The drops are acid, heavy with sulfur. Yet from here, they seem harmless, serene. Every line of brightness falls in slow motion, carving luminous threads down the curve of the glass. It is hypnotic. I feel the pull of sleep at the edges of thought, that pleasant gravity that exists nowhere but within. The hum steadies, my breathing slows to match it, and the voice that speaks into the recorder grows softer. Transmission remains open. Orbit stable. The storm is gentle. Words trail off into the static. For a while, there is only the sound of breath and distance. Then, a final whisper. If you can still hear this, breathe and drift. The lights dim one shade further. The hum smooths into a near constant tone. The pod glides forward, dipping toward the cloud tops, golden light spilling across the window like morning through fog. Golden light spills across the cabin walls. It glides over the instrument panels, turning every surface into amber glass. Even the shadows seem warm. Outside, the storm thickens, a slow, luminous tide folding upon itself, layer by layer. I lower the filters on the viewport. The brightness softens, and the planet reveals its texture. Rippling clouds, silent currents of air, an entire sea of light moving as one. 253. Orbital drift, steady. Light intensity, rise. Venus rotates below, calm in its chaos. The thick atmosphere breathes in endless motion, catching sunlight and scattering it until there is no direction left. Only glow. Somewhere in that brightness, rain is falling. Heavy drops that never touch the ground. Each droplet forms, evaporates, and forms again, trapped in a cycle older than memory. I watch the endless loop and feel my thoughts do the same, forming, dissolving, forming again. A calm repetition, a rhythm older than word. The hum of the ship is a perfect match for the pulse of this world, both low, both endless, both strangely comforting. I imagine the ship as another cloud, drifting among clouds, unsure which one of us carries more light. My eyelids feel heavier now. Each blink lasts longer. The difference between seeing and dreaming grows thin, like frost on glass. The planet blurs, melts into abstract gold, then reforms with each breath. I let the whisper of thought sink into the log. 257. Turbulence minimal. Visibility diffuse. Recorded optical hue 0.8 to 1.3 micron range. The technical note steadies me. Sometimes the act of writing, of describing something with numbers, makes the wonder bearable. Without the data, the beauty can overwhelm. The ship dips slightly, a soft shift in inertia. Outside, the color thickens to a molten glow. For a heartbeat, the entire viewport looks like a sun pressed against glass. Then the filters adjust, and I see depth again. Billows upon billows, soft folds of vapor rolling across one another like sleeping bodies. It's strange how warmth can look so cold from here. The planet below is the hottest in our system, hot enough to melt lead, yet from this orbit it feels cool, slow, serene. Beauty often hides its danger behind distance. I think about that often, about how closeness burns and distance soothes. Maybe that's what the universe is trying to teach, that to see clearly, you must stay a little away. Another breath. The hum lowers one tone, softer, steadier. The body begins to imitate the ship, drifting, humming, resting in its own orbit. If you are still awake, breathe with me. Let your shoulders dissolve into the mattress. Let your breath find the same rhythm as this storm, continuous, circular, never rushed. Even when the air feels heavy, there is calm hidden inside it. 259. External temperature 870 degrees Celsius. Internal stable 22. I smile faintly at the absurdity of those numbers sharing the same log. Out there, everything is melting. In here, the air is cool and scented faintly with cedar from the cabin's wooden trim. Two worlds separated by a few inches of glass. The static crackles again, a gentle reminder that transmission is still open. The noise folds softly under my whisper, like a blanket beneath a voice. Sometimes I imagine the sound waves bouncing off the clouds below, scattering through the golden vapor, carrying these words down into the storm. If they ever reached the surface, they would vanish instantly, turn to heat, then to nothing. But still, I send them. Because that's what humans do. We speak into the noise and hope something listens. Outside, the movement slows. Light fractures into halos, each one suspended for a breath before drifting apart. The ship's sensors register a pressure change, barely noticeable, like the exhale of a giant sleeping creature beneath us. 302. Lower cloud shelf in view. Golden precipitation observed. Through the viewport, it looks like a curtain of liquid sunlight. Drops the size of pearls fall endlessly, glowing as they descend. The illusion is mesmerizing. I almost believe I can hear them, a distant patter, faint, rhythmic. Of course I can't. There's no sound in vacuum. Yet the mind insists on hearing it anyway, a phantom rain falling in time with my pulse. I press my palm to the cold glass. The ship vibrates gently beneath the touch, a reminder that even in stillness, everything moves. The warmth of my skin leaves a brief imprint, then fades. Beyond it, another swirl of cloud unfolds, and a deeper gold emerges, darker, richer, almost bronze. It glows from within, as if the planet has swallowed the sun and keeps it beating in secret. The sight is almost too much to hold, so I let it go. I close my eyes and let the image linger behind the lids, a private aurora, an afterglow meant only for the mind. Breathing now feels effortless. The body floats without command. The hum is a lullaby of circuitry and heartbeats blended into one. Somewhere, faintly, a line of static whispers again. 305. Transmission remains steady. Subject: Golden Storm. Observing continuity. Then silence, soft, dense, full of light. The storm outside continues, infinite and kind. The golden haze outside thickens until it becomes almost solid. The ship slides through it, slow as thought, each meter forward revealing a deeper shade amber to copper, copper to rust. Somewhere below this ocean of light lies a world no one has truly seen. 307. Altitude decreasing. Pressure sensors stable. I angle the viewport downward. The radiance thins, faint shapes emerge. Vast plains blurred by mist. Ridges like frozen waves. Valleys glazed in heat. Everything glows from its own temperature, not from the sun. It is the color of memory, burned onto metal. For a long moment, the storm seems to part. Through the gap, I glimpse what might be. Mountains' soft domes rising from a bronze horizon, their peaks blurred by vapor. They are smooth, almost kind, like the knuckles of an old hand resting beneath a veil. In, slow heat. Out, a silver coolness from the life support vents. Even here, balance exists. The navigation screen flickers with false color contours, rivers that once were, channels carved by liquid long gone. Once, water may have traced these paths, just as thought traces through the mind. Briefly, beautifully, then gone. 311. Optical window clear. Surface composition readings unreliable. I lean closer to the glass. Dust drifts through the atmosphere like powdered gold. When the ship's lights touch it, the motes spark and vanish again, as if embarrassed by their own brightness. The air outside is too heavy to move quickly. Everything here learns the art of patience. A pulse from the engines hums through the floor, steady, lulling. My fingers rest on the console. It feels warm, alive, a small sun of its own. I whisper another note for the Atlas of Quiet Worlds. Venice, Layer 4. A world of slow embers. Light behaves like liquid sound would move like honey if it could. I imagine what a single step on that surface would feel like. Boots sinking into dust that never cools. Air thick enough to hold a memory in place. Perhaps no one will ever know. Perhaps that's mercy. 314. Magnetics stable. Recording continues. Through the interference, the glow shifts again. A river of darker tone threads the plain below lava once, maybe. Now stone polished by centuries of windless rain. The shapes repeat in fractal symmetry. Crest, hollow. Crest, hollow. Patterns familiar, comforting. Repetition is how the universe remembers itself. I let the sight soften into abstraction. The mind paints where the eyes cannot. The ridges become the lines of a sleeping face. The plains, a blanket drawn to the chin of a planet that dreams in fire. For a few breaths, I forget where I end and the world begins. In, the hum rises. Out, the hum drifts. The cabin lights respond automatically, dimming to match my pulse. Sensors interpret stillness as sleep. They are not wrong. I speak quietly into the recorder. Surface mapping complete to latitude -7. Temperature constant. No motion detected, yet everything moves. The words echo inside the helmet, soft, detached. It feels strange to describe serenity with the same tone used for data. But maybe that's all serenity is. A stable reading. Outside, the color deepens to mahogany. Tiny flashes spark along the horizon, lightning hidden within clouds, brief and blue. They illuminate the ridges for a heartbeat, then vanish like forgotten thoughts. 3:18. Electrical activity detected. No hazard. I let the flashes count my breaths. 1, 2, silence. 3, 4, another flare. Even storms have rhythm. A faint vibration hums through the chair frame, the sound of the ship adjusting its orientation. Beneath the hum, a subtler tone lingers. The resonance of the planet itself, a bass so low it feels more than heard. It threads through my bones like a lullaby carved from pressure. For a moment, I imagine opening the hatch, stepping into that glow. The suit would last minutes, maybe seconds, before the air melted it away. Yet the idea of walking there feels peaceful, not fearful. Some places demand awe, others simply invite surrender. I record again, quieter now. Surface beneath the clouds resembles forgiveness made visible. Everything is too bright to keep its edges. Words blur into the hum. The cabin sways gently. My eyelids lower halfway, not from fatigue, but from gravity's imitation, the body pretending to rest because the mind already has. There is no true silence here, only distance between sounds. Between those distances, thought unwinds completely. 3:22. Mapping cycle ending. Drift nominal. The navigation lights shift from amber to deep blue, signaling ascent. The ship begins to rise, slow as a sigh. Below, the clouds close again, sealing the glimpse of the world like a secret returned to itself. I watch until even the faintest shape disappears. What remains is pure glow, no texture, no detail, only light. It feels like looking into the memory of the sun, climbing to higher orbit, data secured, observation complete. I close the logbook, let it float beside me. The pen drifts free, spins once, settles against the page, as if signing its own name. The hum returns to its earlier rhythm, gentle, protective. I breathe with it until breath and sound are indistinguishable. Outside, the storm continues without me. Inside, the stillness feels infinite. The ascent is gentle. The golden clouds below dissolve into a pale shimmer, thinning until they are only memory. The ship rises through light that grows fainter with each meter, amber fading to ivory, ivory to gray. Somewhere below, the storm continues, endless and kind, but up here, the quiet takes its place. 3:26. Altitude increasing. Cabin pressure nominal. For a moment, the entire world of Venus appears beneath me, a glowing marble adrift in darkness, wrapped in veils of fire. Then it begins to shrink, turning slow, reluctant, until it becomes a coin of light resting in the palm of space, into deep, in a trace of warmth. Out, the air cool and even. The transition feels like waking from a long, bright dream. Inside the cabin, everything glows with afterlight. The panels are brushed with faint gold. The logbook glimmers where it floats beside me. Even the dust drifting in the air seems illuminated by what we've left behind. The body remembers heat, though the temperature here is calm. I unclip the harness and drift weightless for a while. The silence stretches outward, wrapping around thought until it has no edges. 3:29. Transmission link stable. Drift nominal. The words echo softly inside the headset, smaller than before. Static folds them into a whisper and sends them outward. Somewhere, the signal will fade into the solar noise and become indistinguishable from the stars. That's all right. Not every message needs a destination. I close my eyes. Behind the lids, the glow of Venus lingers, not as color, but as warmth. It sits quietly beneath the sternum, where breath begins. Every inhale stirs it. Every exhale spreads it thinner, lighter, until it becomes nothing but ease. When I open my eyes again, the glass ahead is black and infinite. Yet even the dark is not empty. Faint dust trails weave silver across it. Starlight moves slow here, taking its time. I find comfort in that patience. The navigation display dims automatically, mistaking stillness for rest. It isn't wrong. I speak softly into the console mic, a final entry, half report, half lullaby. Venus observation complete. Returning to standard drift. Cabin calm. Crew of one resting. Static answers, a faint hiss like a sigh. I imagine it as the planet exhaling through miles of cloud, letting go of me as I let go of it. In, the sound expands. Out, the sound fades. The stars outside tilt slightly, then still. The ship's orientation stabilizes. A tiny blue crescent appears on the far edge of vision. Earth, small and shining, waiting like a memory. Not yet a destination, only a reminder of home. I hold the view without moving. The distance makes everything clear. Oceans, continents, storms, lights, all contained within that fragile glow. For a heartbeat, I think of everyone below, asleep under the same quiet sky, unaware that someone above is whispering their goodnight. 3:34. Transmission remains open. Signal strength low. I take the pen again, write a final note across the drifting page. Observation of stillness achieved. The ink spreads in slow motion, each letter curling like smoke. The page slips from my fingers, spins once, and hangs midair. I let it. Some things are meant to float. Breathing becomes the only movement left. The cabin joins in, gentle intake through vents, gentle release through valves, the sound of a mechanical sleep. I whisper to the recorder, to whoever listens, maybe only to the silence itself. If you are still awake, breathe with me one last time. In and out. Let what you've seen become lighter until it weighs nothing at all. The glow from Venus fades completely now. Only its memory remains, a soft warmth behind the eyelids. It feels enough to dream by. 3:37. Signal drifting. Power cycling to rest mode. A gentle click follows. The log light dims. The hum lowers until it's no longer a sound, just vibration felt through the bones. I close my eyes. The line between the ship and myself blurs again. No weight, no distance, only breath and dark and the steady pulse of space. Transmission closing. Vessel Sleepless Astronaut entering rest orbit. Sleep arrives not as an ending, but as an orbit, a slow return to the same point, so quiet it almost feels like light.